The Accursed is such a fun mod. It's a sort of essence-eating necrosis thing, especially the one within, the Damned, like necrosis-themed like warrior. It's awesome, so we're going to go over it. So, level by level, combat tutorial, all the items, and of course we get Dark Side as our first one. So melee weapon attacks do an additional 1 to 8 necrotic damage. We gain resistance to all damage types except Radiant, and suffer 1 necrotic damage at the start of each turn. This lasts until Wrong Rest and is a bonus action. There's also Stigma, so while channeling your Dark Side, you ignore resistances to necrotic damage. We gain Constitution saving throw proficiency and Charisma saving throw proficiency. We also gain Simple Weapon, Martial Weapon, Light Armor, Medium Armor, Heavy Armor, Shield proficiencies. When it comes to ability points, we have 16 Strength, 14 Dexterity for our initiative, Constitution only at 10, and this will make sense as you go through the build, 8 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, Charisma at 16, and there is a reason for this. When it comes to proficiencies, take what you feel like. Level 2 brings you Delay the Inevitable Charges and Delay the Inevitable. So harness your indomitable resolve to keep fighting when others would have fallen. You basically just heal up as a bonus action. It's really cool. We also get a fighting style, and because we're using a two-handed weapon, we are going to take Great Weapon Fighting. However, if you want to go sword and board, you can take Defense or Protection. And then that brings you to Accursed level 3, and for this one we are starting with the Damned. So this will give you Detect Thoughts, which is a great little spell to have. It also gives you Soul Cover. So for a portion of your soul, suffer 3 necrotic damage and grant an ally 1d8 temporary hit points. So again, it's a nice way of buffing up allies at the expense of yourself. Accursed level 4 brings you your first feat. Now before that, we're going to jump straight into our feat. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. If you are respeccing at the end of the game, and using the exact items we are, you can kind of just take your strength from 16 down to like 8 or something, and work that way. Or you can bump up your charisma or something, because I'm using the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, which will set your strength to 23. So theoretically, this is what you want to go with. You want to bump your ability score improvement to 18 if you're starting from the start of the game. If you are respeccing at the end of the game, you want to bump your strength to 8, boost up your constitution and your dexterity. Level 5 brings you extra attack, always a nice benefit, and Dark Drift. So have 5 necrotic damage and double your movement speed and prevent opportunity attacks. Level 6 brings Marked the Doom. So target a creature's essence for corruption, or consumption I should say. If the creature dies before the start of their next turn, you recover hit points. So this is awesome. If you know an enemy is going to die, you can use your bonus action to use this ability and then essentially guarantee you kill them, especially with an extra attack. Level 7 gives you another Delay the Inevitable Charge and Mirrored Strike. So when dealt damage, prevent all damage that would be dealt and immediately suffer 7 necrotic damage instead. This is great because essentially you can really nullify a huge attack you have taken. Accursed level 8 brings you your next feat. Now as before, if you are playing this from the start of the game, strength up to 20. If you're not and you're respeccing, bump up your dexterity for the initiative, bump up your constitution, something like that. Level 9 brings Into the Abyss. So while below half your maximum hit points, armor class increases by 2, and you gain a +2 bonus to melee attack rolls. You also go ever forward, so while succumbing to your darkness, our movement speed is increased by 4.5 meters. Accursed level 10 brings you Commiseration. Grant nearby allies additional necrotic damage on melee weapon attacks equal to your charisma modifier, which is why it's so important for us to have a high charisma. Level 8 brings Desperation. Suffer 11 necrotic damage and make a weapon attack. Accursed level 12 brings you your final feat. Now, at this point, you are going to want to respec. So, I'm just going to pick anything for a second. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you this build if you are respeccing the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength. So, if you're respeccing, you want 8 Strength, 16 Dex, 14 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, and 16 Charisma. Okay, at level 4, you're going to want to take Great Weapon Master as your first feat when you respec. This will mean -5 to attack roll, solid 10 damage, and if we score a critical hit or kill a target with our melee weapon attack, we can use our bonus action to make another attack. So that's 3 attacks possibly in one turn. Accursed level 8 brings you your next feat. So for this one, once again, with the respec, we're going to come all the way down here, and we're going to take Savage Attacker. So when we roll damage, we roll twice and take the highest amount. And then, in level 12, our final feat, we are going to take Alert, +5 bonus to initiative, and Can't Be Surprised. If you wanted to, you could bump up your dex, you could bump up your constitution. I just think taking Alert is more worth it. Okay, for equipment, we're going to start with the Helldusk Helmet. So you can see in magical and ordinary darkness up to 12 meters and cannot be blinded. +2 bonus to saving throws against spells, and we cannot be critically hit. We take the Flesh Melter Cloak, so if a character or creature hits us in melee range, they'll take 1 to 4 acid damage. I think that just ties in with this like Accursed damned theme so well. We take the Boots of Genial Striding, so we're unimpeded by difficult terrain. We got the Helldusk Armour. You're considered proficient with it, whether or not you wear it, so you can put this on anyone. When we succeed a saving throw, the caster receives burning for 3 turns. Again, I think that ties nicely into this like Accursed theme we've got. We're also resistant to fire damage and can't be burned, and take 3 less damage from all sources, making us great for being on the front line. For gloves, we want the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength. As I press the wrong button, this will set your strength to 23. We're going to take the Regeneration to heal up. Because so many of our abilities cause necrotic damage, this is a nice way of just making sure we heal up at the start of our turn. The Killer Sweetheart, so if we kill a creature, the next hit we do will be a guaranteed critical hit, but it is only once per long rest. This ties so nicely with the Surgeon's Subjugation Amulet. So once per long rest, when you score a critical hit, you can, on a humanoid, bear that in mind, you can paralyze the target for 2 turns. So this is great on like bosses or like big DPS sort of enemies, but just bear in mind it has to be a humanoid. And then finally, my favourite sword in the game, the Sword of Chaos. I think the fact it's necrotic ties into this theme really well. And we have Chaos, so on a hit we'll regain 1 to 6 hit points. Again, because so many of our abilities cause us necrosis, nice way to, between this and the ring, continually healing up our hit pool. So that is this build, let's go check it out. Okay, you can see we have started combat and our Accursed is top of the turn order. So we're going to start dealing out some basic weapon damage. So you can see just how good we do, and you can see we're already healing up despite the fact we don't need it. Now we didn't kill an enemy, so unfortunately we do not get to benefit from our abilities. But what we can do is Desperation. Suffer 12 necrotic damage and make a weapon attack. So, you'll see we suffered 9 necrotic damage, but we also healed up. So we've only lost 4 in total. And what this means is that we've guaranteed that on our next turn, we will be able to do a guaranteed critical hit because of our Killer's Sweetheart Ring. It also means we have a Great Weapon Master bonus action, so we can come up to the Barbarian here, guarantee our Executioner, and there you go. And because it's a humanoid, we can also paralyze them, meaning we can come back down here if need be and start tanking the battlefield. And you see, enemy's totally paralyzed, so can't do anything. Okay, now you'll see the enemy here is paralyzed. So let's use some of our class abilities, and we will start with, where is it? Mark the Doomed. So if this creature dies before the start of their next turn, we will regain hit points. So let's cast it on Tuskrock. And now we can come in here. Because they're paralyzed, we get the crit. As you can see, we healed up for 26, which is insane. It also means we still have our bonus action for stuff, but unfortunately we don't have the movement speed. So if we come down here, what we can do is turn on Commiserate. So grant nearby allies additional necrotic damage on melee weapon attacks equal to our Charisma modifier. Now this will only hit our Rogue, but if we come down here, we're going to be ready to start dealing out some damage again. So, as you know, we have an extra necrotic damage, so if we were to strike, you can see necrotic damage on our attack. There's other things we can do too. For example, we can double our movement speed if need be, but we also have things like Dark Side. So we can suffer, we can make a melee attack that deals additional damage with a bonus action. Nice little things like that. There's also Desperation, which you saw us do previously. And we have Soul Cover. So if we were to do Soul Cover, we'll do this on Shadowheart. And there you go, 19 temporary hit points. We did suffer 9 necrotic damage, but we are able to just regenerate our hit points. And you'll see we're only now 14 behind. If we want to, we could make another Desperation, so we'll take more necrotic damage, deal some more, but as you can see, overall, between our healing and the necrosis we took, we only lost 4 in total. And as you can tell, this build is just all about dealing as much damage as possible, while also self-regenerating. So again, we can come in with 1, come in with 2, which sadly missed, and then if need be, we can come in with a 3rd attack, just like that. And as you can see, we still have our bonus action available, so if we wanted to, we could do Dark Side, and this will boost our attacks as well. Okay, so all the enemies are far away, so we can benefit from ourselves too. We can take 12 necrotic damage to double our movement speed. just like that. And this will help us close down the battlefield as quick as possible. You'll see we have made such great distance to the point that we can get to this enemy and we can start dealing out some insane damage. And again, we can turn on Desperation and miss apparently. And because we have such good strength, we can benefit from things such as being able to push enemies off of beams. Just like that. And because it counts as a bonus action, we still have our main attacks to come up here and start closing down the enemy, continuously healing ourselves from all the necrotic damage we have taken. Overall, this is such a cool mod. I love the theme of like being able to cause yourself damage, but then also pump out more damage. It's just so much fun. The Accursed is a really good melee frontline based modded class for Baldur's Gate 3. So this is our cursed subclass of the Accursed mod. We're going to go over all the items, we're going to go levels 1 to 12, we're even going to go over how to use this in combat. So of course, level 1 we start with the Accursed, and this gives us Darkside. Melee weapon attacks do an additional 1 to 8 necrotic damage, gain resistance to all damage types except Radiant, and suffer 1 necrotic damage at the start of each turn. We also get Stigma. While channeling your Darkside, you ignore resistance to necrotic damage. What's really good about this class, this mod, is all our proficiencies. So Constitution saving throw proficiency, and Charisma saving throw proficiency, Simple weapon proficiency, Martial weapon proficiency, Light, Medium, Heavy armor proficiency, as well as shield proficiencies. Now for your ability points, there are 2 ways we're going to do this. If you're taking this from the start of the game, this is what you want your stat array to be. 16 strength, 14 dex, 16 constitution, 8 intelligence, 10 wisdom, 10 charisma. Now, if you're going to be using the items we are, which is the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, as well as the amulet that boosts your constitution to 23, you're going to respec. You're going to put all your other abilities into dex and charisma. So I'll show you what that will look like. Yeah, if you're respecing in Act 3, you're going to want something that looks like this. So 8 strength, 16 dex, 8 constitution, 12 intelligence, 14 wisdom, 16 charisma. Reason being is our equipment is going to boost our constitution and strength to 23, so we don't need to worry about the stats here. For your proficiencies, take whatever you feel like would be the most helpful for your character. And we move on to the Accursed level 2. An additional Delay the Inevitable charge. But what is Delay the Inevitable? Well, harness your indomitable resolve to keep fighting when others would have fallen. Bonus action, 3 to 10 healing, and this is essentially Second Wind, but for the Accursed class. Now for your fighting style, there are 2 ways you can do this. You can either be a 2-handed weapon, which is what I will be using for this build, or you can go sword and shield. Choice is totally up to you. One is going to give you better AC, one is going to give you a bit more DPS. I personally like using the 2-handed weapon for this build, so we're going to go with Great Weapon Fighting. When you roll a 1 or a 2 on a damage die for an attack with a 2-handed melee weapon, that die is re-rolled once. And that brings us to level 3 and our specialization, which is the Corrupted. I said the Cursed earlier, it's the Corrupted. So, this gives us Intimidation skill proficiency, and Frightening Visage. The corruption within you has deformed your body into a sticky and terrifying sight. Your proficiency bonus is doubled for Intimidation checks, as well as Unholy Bile. Suffer 3 necrotic damage and spit upon a foe, possibly blinding them and instilling them with fear, and this is a bonus action, meaning you can still do your attack. Accursed level 4 gives us our first feat, and for this one we're going to take our strength with our ASI, and we're going to pump it up to 18. And Accursed level 5 gives us an extra attack, meaning if we make an attack, we can then make an additional attack. Ties really nicely with our Unholy Bile, stuff like that, because that's still a bonus action. You also gain Dark Drift, so suffer 5 necrotic damage to double your movement speed and prevent opportunity attacks this turn. An amazing ability to get around the battlefield if you need to close down certain enemies. Accursed level 6, this gives us Bad Blood. Your blood is poisonous to others. When a creature hits you with a melee attack, they become poisoned for the rest of their turn. Accursed level 7 gives us an additional Delay the Inevitable charge, and Mirrored Strike. When dealt damage, prevent all damage that would have been dealt and immediately suffer 7 necrotic damage instead. Perfect to use against like big barbarians or fighters, even sneak attack damage. This is an amazing ability to pop. Okay, Accursed level 8 gives us our new feat. For this, ASI, Strength 220. Again, if you are respecing, then you don't need to really worry about these. What I would personally do
would be to take Great Weapon Master on your first one, and then on this one I would probably take Savage Attacker. Choices are really yours. Again, if you are using a shield though, you might want to use Shield Master, you could use Sentinel, lots of good things here. But essentially, if you are respecking at the end of Act 3, you want to go Great Weapon Master, you want to go Savage Attacker, and then there's multiple other options, like Tough is really good, you could do Sentinel, which is another really good one, Mobile, but with the abilities you have, you don't really need Mobile. You could do so many really good things here. You could even take something like a Durable, could do a Charger, an Athlete, and Alert. There's so many really good options. So just pick and choose what you think your feats will want to be. But if you are starting the game with this, ASI, Strength to 20. Accursed level 9, we gain Into the Abyss. So below half your maximum hit points, your armor class increases by 2, gain a +2 bonus to melee attack rolls, and ever forward. Whilst succumbing to your dark side, your movement increases by 4.5 meters. Accursed level 10 gives us Unmend. Unleash the foul humors rotting within your body, dealing 3 to 24 necrotic damage. Accursed level 11, Desperation. Suffer 11 necrotic damage and make a melee weapon attack. And Accursed level 12, new feat available. And for this one, Great Weapon Master. When you land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, you can make another melee weapon attack as a bonus action that turn. Gain a -5 attack penalty roll, but for a solid extra 10 damage per hit. Okay, so I mentioned if you take the equipment we're using, then want to respec. So again, just to confirm, ability points are going to look something like this: 8, 16, 8, 12, 14, 16. Essentially, wisdom and intelligence can be interchangeable, but dexterity and charisma should both be your highest. For your first feat at level 4, since you don't need the ability score improvement to bump your strength up to 18, we will take Great Weapon Master. Second feat at level 8, because again we don't need the ability score improvement to bump our strength up to 20, we'll take Savage Attacker. And for your final feat at level 12, because we've already taken Great Weapon Master, we're going to take Alert and gain a +5 bonus to initiative. Between this and our dex, we should be very high up the turn order. Okay, when it comes to equipment, we are going to be using the Helldusk armor set. So for a helmet, this gives us Infernal Sight. So again, seeing magical and ordinary darkness up to 12 meters and can't be blinded. Magical durability, so we have +2 bonus to saving throws against spells, and we cannot be critically hit. For a cloak, the Flesh Melter Cloak, I think this ties in really nicely with the whole poisonous blood aspects we get with our class features. So when we are dealt a melee damage, the attacker takes 1 to 4 acid damage. Again, ties in very nicely. For shoes, Disintegrated Nightwalkers gain Misty Step, which is always a lovely ability to have, and we cannot be enwebbed, entangled, ensnared, or slip on ice or grease. For armor, the Helldusk armor, again, this is a late Act 3 armor set. We are considered proficient with it while wearing it, so you can use this on anyone. Doesn't just have to be a class that's able to use heavy armor. We gain Infernal Retribution, so when you succeed a saving throw, they receive burning for 3 turns. And we gain Prime Aegis of Fire, where we have resistance to fire damage and cannot be burned, take 3 less damage from all sources, as well as the ability to cast Fly. For gloves, the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, saving throws +1, and sets our strength to 23. For our first ring, the Ring of Regeneration, so at the beginning of our turn we'll heal for 1 to 4 hit points, making us extra tanky. And the Killer's Sweetheart, meaning when we kill a creature, our next attack roll will be a guaranteed critical hit, once per long rest. The Amulet of Greater Health sets our Constitution to 23 and gives us advantage on Constitution saving throws. And for a weapon, probably my favourite two-handed weapon in the game, the Sword of Chaos. Ties in very nicely with the whole necrotic theme of this mod. When we hit, gain 1 to 6 hit points, and it's 11 to 24 damage overall. Okay, so that's the build and items, let's go show this off in combat. Okay, you can see our turn order, and we are actually joint first with the Rogue, and we are right here. So let's go over some of our abilities. We'll start with Unholy Bile. Suffer 12 necrotic damage, and spit upon a foe, possibly blinding them. Now we've got 40% chance on that one. Everyone else seems a little too far away, or 65, so let's do the 65 on this one. And there you go, they are frightened and have blindness. But because we are a great little warrior, again we can do things like Unmend, you can see the radius we have here. Or we can just swing for the fences, so let's start swinging first. And you'll see we are hitting quite heavily, and we regain 9 health, even though we didn't need it. We can also then do Desperation, so suffer 12 necrotic damage and make a weapon attack. So if we were to do this, And there you go. Suffer 12, we regained 5, we'll gain more at the start of our next turn thanks to the Ring of Regeneration, and we have unlocked Executioner. What we also have is our bonus action Great Weapon Master. Now if we hadn't used our bonus action before, we'd be able to toggle this and make another attack. Okay, it is now our turn, so if we were to come here, let's show off our Killer's Sweetheart Ring. Guaranteed critical hit with our hit. And a big crit on a Barbarian. We also still have the ability, we do a rush attack, a cleave, all that fun stuff, more desperation. But alas, it's more just about pumping out these attacks. Because we did a critical hit, again we can trigger our bonus action, Great Weapon Master. And if we really want to, another desperation, take the 12 damage and keep swinging. 4 attacks that round, we are still at maximum health as well. As you can see, our AC is so good, enemies still struggle to hit us. Okay, so again, let's show off some more stuff. So if we were to come, let's say, oh, why is it going like that? Let's come here. Now unfortunately we won't be able to target both, but this, in an ideal situation, you are going to hit both enemies in a straight line with your ability. For us, we're just going to do this one. So this is Unmend. And unfortunately they say because they are a rogue, how very annoying. But we can still do our Unholy Bile, get them frightened. Unfortunately no blind this time, but you have at least landed that. And if we really need to, another Desperation, and we could come and attack. None of them because we don't have the movement. Okay, let's try and show off Unmend again. It might not work, but let's find out. Where is it? Here we go, Unmend. Let's see if we can land it. There you go, 10 damage, simple toxins, they're now poison. And we can still do things like Unholy Bile, like I said. Get them frightened as well. And then obviously Desperation, come in here and land another big hit. This time a crit, meaning we regained extra hit points. And overall, we have nullified 2 enemies. And at this point, once the enemies are nullified, it's pretty much just a case of picking them off one by one. Thanks to our great movement speed, our heavy attacks, the amount of attacks we can do a round, we can just pummel them. Because we killed someone this turn, we get a bonus action, which missed, but we can still do our Desperation, and there you go. And then, like I said, just finish the fight. Nice and easy. Unfortunately, these bloody rogues are really good at dodging out everything. More Desperation, really get those attacks going. Get our bonus action Pommel Strike, 1 damage, crazy. And final hit. There we go. The Possessed Accursed subclass mod is really cool. It's a mod that's very much a frontliner, but also has a lot of benefits outside of combat. So let's go over it. And we start with the Accursed, and obviously we get Dark Side. Now Dark Side means melee weapon attacks do an additional 1 to 8 necrotic damage. We also gain resistance to all damage types except Radiant, but we suffer 1 necrotic damage at the start of each turn, and this lasts until long rest. We also gain Stigma, so while channeling your Dark Side, you ignore resistance to necrotic damage. Constitution and Charisma saving throw proficiencies. We gain Simple Weapon proficiency, Martial Weapon proficiency, Light, Medium Armor, Heavy Armor as well, and Shield proficiency. Now when it comes to your ability points, if you are starting this from level 1, from the start of the game, this is what you want your stat rate to be. 16 Strength, 16 Dex, 14 Constitution, 8 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, and 10 Charisma. However, with this build and the items I'm using, I do recommend respecking with Withers to have this setup. 8 Strength, because our gloves are going to set our Strength to 23, 16 Dex, 16 Constitution, 14 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, and 10 Charisma. Accursed level 2 brings you Delay the Inevitable charges. Now Delay the Inevitable is basically kind of like a use of Second Wind, but it's on a charge delay thing, meaning you can spend as many charges as you want with your bonus action. It's pretty cool. Once again, a fighting style. Now obviously this will depend on the build you're doing. As you can see, I'm using a big old 2-handed weapon, so we are going to go Great Weapon Fighting. When you roll a 1 or 2 on a damage dice for an attack with a 2-handed melee weapon, that dice is re-rolled once. Now, if you wanted to, and you're doing Sword and Board, you could go with Protection, or you could go with Defense. Kind of depends on your setup. Accursed level 3 brings you your Specialization. Now for this one we are taking the Possessed, and this is where we get those out of combat sort of like buffs.
So we have Dark Passenger, Dark Allure, and Dark Rejection. Now Dark Passenger allows you to give yourself a 1d6 bonus to ability checks for 2 turns. Dark Allure, suffer 3 necrotic damage to pull an enemy towards you and then deal 1 to 8 necrotic damage to them. And Dark Rejection is the reverse, so it's a way of pushing enemies away and dealing necrotic damage. The Accursed level 4 brings you a new feat, and if you are starting from the start of the game and you have 16 strength, bump your strength up to 18. If you're respecing at the end of the game, we're going to go Great Weapon Master. We're going to take that -5 attack roll penalty for a solid 10 damage. It also means if we land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, we can make another melee weapon attack as a bonus action. Accursed level 5 brings you an extra attack. This means if we make an attack on our main turn, we can follow up with another one. And we get Dark Drift. Suffer 5 necrotic damage to double your movement speed and prevent opportunity attacks. Really good if you need to get across the battlefield ASAP. Accursed level 6 brings you Mortal Coil. While succumbing to your dark side, you're immune to charmed and frightened conditions. Accursed level 7 brings you another Delay the Inevitable charge, and Mirrored Strike. So when you dealt damage, prevent all damage that be dealt and immediately suffer 7 necrotic damage instead. The Accursed level 8 brings you your next feat. Now at this point, again if you are at the start of the game and your strength is now at 18, you're going to bump up to 20. Or you're going to come all the way down here and we're going to take Savage Attacker. When making melee weapon attacks, you roll your damage dice twice and use the highest amount. Now, if you wanted to follow this setup as well, you could from the start of the game. You just have to rely on strength potions, but it's also a very viable option. The Accursed level 9 brings you into the Abyss. So while below half your maximum hit points, your armor class increases by 2 and you gain a +2 bonus to melee weapon attack rolls. And ever forward, while succumbing to your dark side, your movement increases by 4.5 meters. The Accursed level 10 brings you a Dark Passenger improvement. You can now choose one additional target when using Dark Allure and Dark Rejection, meaning we can now push or pull 2 different people towards us. Accursed level 11 brings you Desperation. Suffer 11 necrotic damage and make a weapon attack. And then your final level, level 12, gives you a new feat. So for this one we are going to take Alert. Get that +5 bonus to initiative and allow us to not be surprised. Okay, let's go over our items, and for this one we're going to go full pelt just with the Helldusk setup. So we can take the Helldusk helmet, magical and ordinary darkness up to 12 meters. We cannot be blinded. We gain a +2 bonus to saving throws against spells, and we cannot be critically hit. For a cloak, we're going to take the Flesh Melter cloak. The reason being is that if we take melee damage from someone, they take 1 to 4 acid damage, and I feel like acid and Accursed, it just fits the theme so good. For boots, we're going to take the Boots of Genial Striding, so we're unimpeded by difficult terrain. We're going to take the Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, so it sets the wearer strength to 23, hence why we can have our strength at 8. It also gives us strength saving throw +1. We're going to pair this, of course, with the Helldusk armor. So when we succeed a saving throw, the caster takes burning for 3 turns. We have resistance to fire damage, cannot be burned, and we take 3 less damage from all sources, as well as get to fly. Now when it comes to rings, we're going to take the Killer's Sweetheart. So if we kill a creature, we unlock Executioner, which means our next hit can be a guaranteed critical hit. However, we can only use it once per long rest. Tying into this, we're going to take the Surgeon's Subjugation Amulet. So once per long rest when scoring a critical hit, hence why it pairs so well with the Killer's Sweetheart, on a humanoid, the wearer can paralyze the target for 2 turns. We're going to pair this with the Ring of Generation. At the beginning of your turn, the ring activates and heals you for 1 to 4 hit points. And then for my weapon of choice, the Sword of Chaos. You could take something like Baldur Giant Slayer, there's lots of good options. I just really like this one. It fits the necrotic theme, and on a hit, regain 1 to 6 hit points, meaning you can really tank yourself up. So that is the build, let's go check it out. Okay, you can see we're in the combat and we're top of the turn order, so let's get this going. Now, from here, I would do Dark Side. Now, it will be a bonus action, but we need to wait until we get to that point. So we are just going to essentially start this fight off with ensuring that we get some hits in. So let's start with this one here. Now you can see we're pumping out 31 damage and we healed up for 2. We can come back in with our extra attack. You'll see 29 with 4. And then because we still have our bonus action, we can do something like Dark Side. Now this means that if we were to do this, our attacks would deal extra damage. We can also do a Desperation, which sadly missed. But you see we still healed up for 4 hit points somehow. So you see, they took damage for hitting us. We even took 0 damage at one point.
Nothing will stand in my way.
Okay, So let's show off some of our abilities. Now, Dark Rejection allows us to push enemies away. Now, if we could position ourselves maybe, say, here. Let's see if we can push this one off the beam. We can target 2, but we only do 1. And there you go. Just like the Force, we threw them. What this means is we can come back up here, and we could do another Desperation. And we can target our Executioner, guaranteeing we land a critical hit on Skeeve here. And there you go. Within 1 hit, we did about 60 damage. And what this means is we still have our bonus action. We can come in here for a Great Weapon Master attack. That will miss. Now see, every time they hit us, they are taking damage. So they dealt 6 damage, sorry, but they only took 6 as well. Now you see, we took 9 necrotic, but we healed for 2. And again, we just have that same situation here, where we can come in here, and we can just swing away. We'll heal up continuously. Now, because we've done that, we do have our Great Weapon Master bonus action again. So we'll hunt down this enemy here.
Another day, another fight.
And if we really wanted to, we could do another Desperation. And there you go. 4 attacks in 1 round.
Another step forward.
And then we can start hunting down these guys.
Dull moment.
Okay, so let's show off some more of our capabilities. Let's come. We'll go here. And we'll do Dark Allure. So this will allow us to pull enemies towards us, hopefully. Both sadly missed. That's crazy. But that's fine, because what it means is we can come back in here with a Desperation
Try me.
onto this enemy. And there you go, that is another one slaughtered. So even though we are causing damage to ourselves, between our ring and our sword we are still healing up lots. And of course, that means we unlock our Great Weapon Master bonus action. Sadly, we don't quite have the range, but you get the idea. What we could do is delay the inevitable, and we'll make sure we heal up. And there you go, we gain 28 hit points. And then at this point, it's just a case of finishing the fight.
Fight free.
And continually healing ourselves up if possible. We'll hit another Desperation. And there you go. And in fact, we can even do a Pommel Strike, and you'll see you regain hit points on that if it would have hit. Now again, let's try our Dark Allure again. We'll pull the enemy towards us, hopefully. There you go, so you see they took 6 damage, they're now within our range. And then we can finish the fight. It is such an awesome mod for Baldur's Gate, such a good frontliner. To be honest, if you wanted to go with themes, it's quite a good like Star Wars-y theme as well, with the like whole push and pull systems, kind of like the Force. So you've got those options. So yeah, just overall, really fun subclass for this mod. Definitely worth checking out. So really hope you have enjoyed. If you have, please drop the episode a like, helps me tremendously, and let me know in the comments below what you changed about this, what other items, all that fun stuff. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel for more. I've got more guides for Baldur's Gate, for Path of Exile, for Dragon Age the Veilguard, all of those fun things. I'm currently streaming God of War Ragnarok, so make sure you come and check that out. And regardless, hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.